And there we go. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us here today. Welcome, welcome. As you're coming on in, feel free to go ahead. Let us know where you're participating, where you're watching us from in the world. I'm based over in Portugal. We got a nice little European team here to talk to you all. So thanks so much for joining us. We'll get started in just a minute here. But yeah, don't hesitate. Throw in that chat. Send a message to everyone. Let them know where you are, a little bit about yourself. Feel free. Let us know how many properties you're managing. We'd love to understand where everybody's checking in from. Sienna, where are you located in the world once again?
I am located in Sofia in Bulgaria, so all the way on the east side of Europe. But
All
actually,
right.
I've lived in the UK for I can still say for most of my life.
All right, we have
That's
got that for you.
around over 20 years now. So.
Awesome, awesome. And Medea, Anna, where are you based today?
I'm based today in Madrid, in Spain. Nice and warm, very, very warm.
Yeah, we
But I
got
think
it's
everywhere in Spain, in Europe, that we are the same right now.
yeah, it's not too bad over here in Portugal. Like we got super lucky so far. We haven't had like those crazy heat waves like they're having over in America right now, right? Hey Peter. Hey Peter, how are you, man? Thanks so much. Fantastic. All right, so we're at the top of the hour. We're gonna go ahead and get started here today. So let me share my screen and say hello, hello. Welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Once again, my name is Matthew, and I'm going to be your host for today's session. AI powered automation, how we're enhancing guest communication and pricing strategies. So, this session is brought to you by PriceLabs and our friends over and integrated PMS partner, Hostify, an all in one property management system, which is designed to help streamline your operations and support you scaling. So, we're going to explore today how AI is being used across both platforms to help you stay ahead of the competition, to help you stay ahead and in front of more guests, of course, with less effort, right? So before we get started, before we dive in, just a few quick housekeeping notes. So this session is being recorded. We're going to send you a copy afterward, and please feel free to share it with anyone who you think may benefit. At the bottom of your screen, if you're not familiar, there's going to be a Q&A button. So at the end of our session, we will have a Q&A. We may even answer a few live. So if you have a question for us as it pops up, click that Q&A button and go ahead and drop that question in. You'll be able to upvote them or comment on them as well so we can make sure that we answer those for you. And finally, we do have a few members of our teams hanging directly out in the chat. So if you ask something specific, someone from our organizations might jump in with a direct answer, here while we're live. We're going to run it for about 30 minutes or so, and then we'll follow up with a quick 15-minute Q&A. And let's go ahead and get to know our speakers a little bit. So from the PriceLabs teams, we're joined by Sienna. And from Hostify, we're thrilled to welcome Anna. Thank you so much for being here to the both of you. And we're going to kick off with something light to get to know each of you a bit more. How are you using AI these days, right? Both professionally and personally. Like for me, I'm using GPT pretty much every day, both professionally and personally. I've tried a few tools. I've tried Gemini. I keep coming back to GPT. I can't break that habit. On the work side, I'm using it to constantly brainstorm some ideas, right? Help me collaborate, not turn in that final paper, but help me get to where I need to be. And then, like on the personal side, I mean, I just had it build me a nice meal plan for the week. My daughters are with me, so my schedule changes quite a bit this week. I shared my schedule, right? What our food preferences are, what I have in the fridge, even on that shopping list, and it made me a huge list for this week. Super easy, straightforward, saved me a bunch of time, and it's eliminated that, hey, what am I going to have for dinner? Internal conversation that I'm always having, right? Anna, how about you? How are you using AI in your day to day, either at home or in your professional?
Hey, Matthew. Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here. In terms of AI, it's true that in terms of work, I'm using AI, especially maybe even if sometimes you know how to respond to an email, sometimes having a little bit more professional or a little bit more these small details that can make an email a little bit more attaching or comprehensive to the clients. I using it in that kind of things, or even sometimes I'm not the most accounting person, so I ask ChatGPT, listen, this client worked like this. Can you tell me how to figure out the math and things like this? So in terms of work, I think AI works very good in that sense. And in the professional way as well, I think it's a tool that you can use as well. Like now I'm getting married next year. So My wedding is going to be in Colombia, and we have a lot of people coming from Spain. So I wanted to have like a brochure or something very nice to them, so they don't just go for the wedding, but they enjoy the country as well. So I use the AI as well to help me create this brochure, give me ideas, food, things like that. So it can make it much easier for you on your day to day, not to do it all by yourself, but having someone as well telling maybe you can do it this way or you can do it that way, and then put your touch as well in the ad.
I love it. I love it. And Sienna, how about you? Let's hear about how you're using it in professionally or personally.
Very, very cool, by the way, Anna. And Matthew is going to be very disappointed with me because I'm not the biggest user of AI, although I do keep coming back to ChatGPT as well. So professionally, I love to write a lot, so my emails can be quite long sometimes. Um, ChatGPT has actually taught me how to cut down the unnecessary things within them. So I do use it to help with that, but I actually learned from it as well. So that's a big bonus when writing myself. I use ChatGPT to help me out with sometimes Excel stuff. I'm not the best with using Excel as well. So right at the beginning when ChatGPT became a thing, my brother was like, come here, let me show you this. And he generated this massive report and I was just stunned at what I saw. So definitely helpful in that sense. Personally, I recently traveled to Spain and back by car, and I wanted to see new places because we always pass through the same places. So I managed to kind of ask ChatGPT, like, hey, this is what I want to see. I want to combine the mountain with the seaside. I want it to be really quiet and peaceful when we're traveling with a dog and we don't want to travel more than 3 days. Like, tell me where I should go. And it did just the best itinerary. So these are really cool things that you can actually utilize AI for in your personal life.
I love it. I love it. And like one thing that I use it for, we talked about reducing, I love to talk, right? And I know sometimes I'm speaking with people who English is not their first language. Maybe some of you are sending messages to your guests who English is their third language. So we need to really simplify that language and make it so that, hey, a non-native speaker, so a non-native speaker can clearly understand is something that I throw in there when I rewrite some of my messaging, and I try to keep it at that like fifth grade reading level, right? So those non-natives can as well understand it, make sure it's easy to process and digest. I know when we're sending things like house rules and things along those lines, right? They could get a bit complicated. I'm not going to say anything. I haven't seen any of your rules in here, but they can get a bit complicated. So how can I simplify this so that everyday people can basically understand it and not violate any of the rules that I've set forth? They still will, but hey, at least it may help you out with a few others. So let's go a layer deeper, right? People have some misconceptions. I was just talking to somebody about AI and they just absolutely got so mad at me for suggesting it in this way. But what's a common misconception, Sianda, that you hear from people when you're talking to these hosts each and every day, right? And you're connecting with them? I know there's typically some hesitation. Maybe it's something that they're worried about or unsure how to approach it. You got anything you could share with us?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. We have Sienna and Anna. So
Okay.
which one?
We'll go with Sienna. Let's get you started here.
All right, perfect. I do. Do you know what? It's something that pops up a lot. It's something that, however, people tend to change their mind about it as time passes. So it's always in the beginning, hey, I don't want to kind of let go of everything and lose complete control. And I am going to just let everything run in the hands of something that's not even a human. And it's just going to go crazy and wild. That's not necessarily how things work because you are essentially in full control of what you allow um, an AI tool to do. So you set your own parameters, and within these parameters, you can also set up strategies and personalization so that you allow the algorithm or the AI tool to work as intended, right? So worries that it's going to go absolutely crazy or you're going to sell for peanuts, that shouldn't be a thing because you can set the floor, you can set the expectations. I speak to a lot of people who last year said, hey, do you know what? I'm completely not comfortable with this. And then they come back a year later and they say, look, actually, I know more now. I feel more educated and I know that that's not going to happen. So I feel more comfortable in, letting things be easier for me by automating them essentially.
isn't it so interesting? Like we want to give up control and we want systems to take place, but then on the other side, it's so hard to
Yeah.
give up that control, right?
Because
When I
it's
see
your
that,
thing, right? Yeah.
absolutely, especially like we see with pricing, no way. Like, what are you going to sell my property at? You just want to go ahead and no. Like, you have a lot more control than you probably even realize. Same thing with GPT, right? At the end of the day, you choose what goes out. Anna, how about you? What do you see out there? Some misconceptions that your property managers or hosts are talking to you about?
I think more or less what Sienna says. I think everybody's a little bit concerned all the time about this. It's like maybe you give the control and maybe you're gonna lose the human touch or things like that. I think it's a little bit that what she was saying. You need to understand that you're not giving the full control to the AI to do whatever they want. You're gonna put your parameters. You're gonna tell the AI as well how you want them to answer. You're gonna give him more or less what do you want, how do you feel, and at the end it's like it can help you in different things. It's not like you're going to give the AI to solve a problem or a huge issue that a guest had on one of your properties or things like that. You're going to use it more for simple things like, I don't know the password of the internet and you don't want to answer these questions by yourself. But if you have a case of a client that really complaining about everything that's happening in your properties, this is a case that you want to handle yourself because you can empathize. An AI cannot do that, even if it looks like it can. It cannot actually. So in these scenarios as well, you have the control. What do you want to give to the AI, and what do you want to do? So it's something that they have to understand. Not everything will go to the AI. You have the control, and you can define as well. And at the end, it's a little bit what we're talking before. It's a very helpful tool. I can give you an example. Like my dad is zero tech, but now he's always saying, "Oh, I need to ask my friend GPT." So he's asking every single thing to Chat GPT because he's helping as well to be a little bit independent and not have to ask us so many questions as well. So it's up to you as well how you want to see the AI.
And like, I love the idea of AI, right? Like, you're afraid that you're going to lose that personal touch, but at the end of the day, it's just freeing you up so that you can give a different version of that personal touch, right? So
Exactly.
you can deliver on those other services because there's really no need for you to send that Wi-Fi password at 2 a.m. when you have it plastered in 6 different places. And like, I can't believe in 2025, that's still a question that people are asking. So, there's definitely a need for it. And Peter, like you said, right? And sometimes the AI is much more patient than me. Like, putting it through that filter before you reply to a guest, because you're just like, I can't believe you're asking me for the Wi-Fi once again after I've told you 6 times where it is. How can we put this in a more neutral, non-combative, non-confrontational tone to
Exactly.
help answer these questions? Yeah, awesome, awesome. I love it. So, we're gonna jump on into it now here with you, Anna. We're going to ground ourselves a little bit. Anna, you're going to share with us, some of the things that are happening in the European short-term rental market, because just like PriceLabs, like Hostify is deeply, deeply plugged into that European market. So Anna, I'll hand it over to you now.
Thank you. So we're going to talk a little bit before we enter a little bit more about the AI and how the OTAs work with the AI, as well as how a PMS can work with AI. We're going to go inside a little bit of numbers of how the short-term rental is working in Europe right now. So we can see that the short-term rental has increased quite a lot since the pandemic. So in 2023, we have the record that increase in short terms like around 20.5%. This race has been reflected especially on big cities like Paris, Barcelona, Rome, cities that are very close to the coast as well. We have cities as well that are in the mountains. So everybody is looking for something different. And I think at this moment right now, everything is attractive for everyone. It can either be in the middle of the mountain by yourself, as well as be in the beach with full of people. So the short term has been increasing and increasing every year. Unfortunately, this as well has been, as you can see in most of the countries in Europe, they are getting a lot of regulations. I can speak a little bit more in terms of Spain. Spain is getting more regulations in each area of Spain as well, but this is something like every government is trying to regulate. Let's see what it's going to happen, but this is something that is happened. So as you can see here, we can see as well a huge increase on 2024. So we have an estimate that on 2024, we have an increase of 85 billions in revenue regarding the short terms. And we're expecting by 2028, this to be increased another 4.7%. So you can see that not only the short term is increasing, but as well, it's going to be the midterm and the long term. It's increasing as well quite a lot in the entire continent of Europe. You can pass. Thank you. So right now we can see that on 2024, we have an average of a growing of 3.14%. This was more or less 130.50 billions that it's forecast to be by 2028. The number of users in Europe vacation rental market is projected to reach 0.94 billions by 2028, with a penetration increasing from 11.1 to 11.8 by the end of 2028. Major European cities like Barcelona, Berlin, Paris, Madrid, most of the big cities are seeing strong demand for midterms. I think this is something that we have worked as well, talked as well many times. The fact that everybody or most of the jobs now allows you from time to time to work remotely. This is another trend that is changing, that it didn't happen before the pandemic. So people are looking now that if they have the chance to go and work 6 months from Europe and another 6 months in America, so now they're looking as well for this, not only short terms, but more midterm and long terms. And they're looking for something that is already furnished, that they don't need to like put everything in the apartment because they don't know how long they will stay, and then they will move somewhere else. So I think as I was mentioned, I think that the midterm and the long term, it's gonna go growing and growing more each year. So we can see as well a little bit how the vacational market is working in Europe. So at the moment we have more or less like the average number of occupancy that we have every year in Europe, it's around the 45%. That it's quite a lot in only short term. But this obviously the idea is keep increasing. We will have to see as well what it's going to happen as well with all these regulations by country. But for the moment, it's still keeping steady. Then we can see, and we can still see that the OTA that's still increasing and is the one that is bringing more market, especially in Europe, is Airbnb. VRBO is taking a lot of the market as well. But in terms of who it's keeping the biggest one in terms of short-term vacational rented, at the moment, still Airbnb. Perfect. As well, we can see that the cancellation policies as well, this is from the pandemic as well, that have changed a lot. Before people, like they used to really reserve like the most cheaper one, that it was normally the non-refundable. But right now, as people, they wanna book as well in advance, they're playing a lot with the cancellation policy. So you can see that right now, one of the things that they are more looking for is like something that if you need to cancel maybe 10 days before you go because any emergency or something happened, this even if they have to pay a little bit more, they prefer a cancellation policy that is more flexible than a cancellation that is strict or firm. So this is very important when you are managing as well and controlling your listings, to always have a flexible, because this will attract more and more guests as well. Okay, so we're gonna talk now, we're gonna enter a little bit more about the AI in the vacational renter sector. So the idea of the AI is to help you optimize the management of the rental properties. This can include bookings, dynamic pricing, guest communication, maintenance of the properties. Obviously, the AI use a lot of algorithm, data analysis, that well you can reduce your operational workload and increasing profitability as well. What are the roles on the AI of a property management? So as I was mentioning before, when we were discussing a little bit, you can have a chatbot that is a virtual assistant that is going to be available 24/7. At this moment, I think there is a few companies that actually have someone that can work or they have a staff working 24/7 or rotations, but they have available for 24 hours. Most of the companies, they have an open time and a finish time. And then until the next day, they will not be able to answer any clients. So what they do is like actually the artificial intelligence can help them answer these messages that maybe they come late at night. Even if they cannot give the most accurate questions or things like that, at least they can provide some answer to the client. It can help you as well with everything that is data analysis tools. It can give you better reports. It can give you better information of how your properties are performing. Dynamic pricing tool. I'm not going to go into deep of that because I think Shanna can explain it much better than me. But this can help you as well to increase your revenue on your prices and everything, know when to increase and when to decrease as well. Then you can personal experience and vacational rental matchmaker. I think these two will work together because more you understand about your guests, more you can give a better experience to each of them. This will increase your reviews, and obviously this will increase your visibility as well in each of the OTAs.
And like really quickly to talk about the data analysis, right? I know Sienna mentioned it as well. Like that's one thing I'd love to do is upload this spreadsheet and help me make some inferences, right? What can I pull from this? How can you help me act as a world-class blank, 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 help me understand this data better? And that just allows us to look at so much more data and actually have actionable items that we could take from that to go ahead and make adjustments to our business. Fantastic.
Well, how the OTAs normally use AI. So this one, I'm not from an OTA. What I know, it's a little bit about information, but what they do. So they have, with the AI, they can get more data collection, machine learning algorithms, and obviously personalized recommendation. So they put all these together to better understand how you look for properties, what are your preference, and that way they can recommend as well a better property that maybe will satisfy more your needs. So these all the things that actually can help you, and maybe that you as a property manager don't know how to do it, but all the OTAs are already incorporating this to make it much easier for you as well.
And I'll chime in one more time here. I hate to say this now because I feel like I say this every year, but it seems like now more than ever, like make sure your listings are as detailed as they can be, right? Because there's so many different pieces that are picking up that this AI is looking for. So essentially, like making sure that you're including that information in your listing, it's going to help the system find it. And then it's going to help that traveler because that's what they're looking for specifically. So that's something when I work with hosts, making sure that those listings are detailed, we're sharing the right information so we can find the right guest there. Awesome. Oh, I did it again. I'm like a novice here going through some of these.
So talking a little bit about the benefits on an AI of a property management. So a little bit what Matthew was saying before. It helps you create better listings because you can put all the information and it can create you how to create a proper listing and all the information that you need to provide. You're going to have someone that can help you answer messages, not only when you are on duty, but as well when you're outside the duty. So you don't have to keep in constant communication with the client. You will have someone that has it. And obviously, it will help you, as we can see here. It can increase 42% in errors in property management. And obviously, it can automate management, can reduce operational costs by approximately 15%. So this is something that is very important to keep in mind as well, that it can help you on your day-to-day on every single task that you want to do. Again, I'm not going to go too deep in dynamic pricing. But as I mentioned, it can help you a lot in know when to increase, to decrease. Obviously, Sienna will go a little bit more into detail. As we mentioned before, it can help you have better experience with your guest. More you know your guest, more information you can give it, more the AI can look for the perfect stay for each of your guests as well. So this is very important if you want to do something different for them. The AI can help you a lot. And obviously all these kind of things that sometimes we miss, but how our properties are performing, how we can increase revenue, all these kind of things are things that AI can help you as well. So you can get a lot of data, a lot of analysis as well from the AI. So this is something that you should use as well. So as you can see, data analysis improve operational performance by 20%. So it's quite big what you can get from the AI in terms of data analysis and performance optimization as well. Okay, so enter a little bit more in terms of Hostify and what Hostify can offer you. So in terms of Hostify, we actually have an AI introduced on our system. This one can help you specifically to answer guest messages. So in this scenario, we give you the option that the AI will take the information or will read the last question from the guest and will create the most accurate answer to give to that guest. This can save you a lot of time that you don't need to write every single answer. At the same time, as I was mentioned before, if you want to have even more control, you have the possibility to create your own chatbot with questions and answers. So you can teach as well the AI how you wanna answer the guest. and they can do it much better for you. At the moment, it needs to have some human touch, that it needs to send MOTAM. It doesn't send it automatically. But the idea in the future is like, once we feel that it can do everything by itself, we can just give it full access so it can answer the way you want. But for that, you need to interact with the AI and give them the proper information, so it will be much easier and understand better how you want the AI to reply to your guest as well. So that's what I was mentioning a little bit. So right now, as I mentioned, it's more a focus on everything that it's going to have to do with messages for the guest. But we are focusing as well to an AI that can improve your listing content. So it can help you create better listings. So as Matthew was mentioned, more information, more high quality pictures can increase your views in every single OTA. Obviously help you as well reply to reviews, because this is something that is very important as well. Have a very good reviews. This can increase as well your scores and your views on each of the OTAs, and increase revenue. But in this case, as increased revenue, I think Sienna can explain you a little bit more of how it's going to work in terms of prices.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. And one thing, they're replying to reviews, like that's a huge red flag to me when I'm looking at Airbnb listings where there are reviews that you didn't reply to. Obviously, the positive 5-star, like I'll let that pass. But if there's something negative and you haven't given us some sort of response or acknowledged it, I'm going to keep scrolling for the next one.
Correct.
Yeah, so thanks, Anna. It's clear operational agility, right, is more important now than ever, especially as we see increased competition. We're gonna turn to the revenue side now of the conversation, because no matter how streamlined your operations are, you do need that pricing strategy that keeps up, and that's where PriceLabs comes in. So Sienna, let's bring you in here. How is PriceLabs helping operators make smarter pricing decisions using the AI tool, and what are some of the biggest opportunities that you're seeing for revenue optimization right now?
Thank you, Anna. That was a really cool introduction into how AI is utilized in the STR world generally. And there's so many ideas and things that actually can be incorporated into that sector. Big question, Matthew. I'm going to talk about it in in the next few minutes. I'm going to talk more about what we can do actually to optimize our prices, our occupancy, and all of that. So just to begin a little bit, to give you a little bit of context, PriceLabs is a revenue management and dynamic pricing solution for the short-term rental industry. We do kind of think about anything from short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, service departments, hotels, glamping sites, RV, campground, all of that is covered under that umbrella. We do currently price over 500,000 listings on a daily basis. Our team is international. We work in over 100 countries. So anywhere that there is short-term rental data, we're ready, and when we're ready to go in there. Now, when we talk about complete revenue management, it's not just about putting the prices in. Of course, you want to utilize that market data that we're receiving, and you want to stay ahead of the game. So one part, and probably what we're best known for, is dynamic pricing. That's where you essentially are able to utilize the market data, or we're actually utilizing the market data to push through the most optimal rates, to combine your inputs in there with what we're seeing in the market, and in order to push daily prices every single day. Very important part of revenue management is reporting. Not everyone likes this word reporting, but you have ready to view reports available for you, so that you don't have to worry too much about manually pulling numbers and trying to make sense of what each of these things mean. So that comes with dynamic pricing. Now, market dashboards and awesome. Just very quickly, market dashboards in Revenue Estimator Pro. These are also automated dashboards and estimates that you can use to make projections or to make estimates about what a certain property in a location in the world can do for you in terms of revenue and occupancy. And market dashboards can give you a very wide view on how different markets in the world are working. So I might be sitting here in Sofia, but I might want to know about the London market. So market dashboards can very easily give me access to this. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I think everyone here knows how dynamic pricing can help as opposed to using fixed pricing. If you do use fixed pricing, unfortunately, you're not able to take advantage of demand, which constantly changes in your market. You might not be very well aware of what the seasonal trends are, of different events that are happening in your area. You might want, or you might have historically had very high fixed rates that did work, but at the moment, maybe things have shifted a little bit in your market. Maybe these trends are working at other areas, so your occupancy could potentially go down. Also, if you're manually trying to look at your competition, maybe you're looking at the wrong things, maybe you're not factoring in new competition that's coming in, or it's very difficult to actually track how your competition is getting booked up, apart from only seeing what prices they're selling for in the future, right? And of course, that loses, you're wasting so much time in order to try and manually every single day gather this information. You could actually be using this time to communicate with your guests better. You could be using this time to create your brand, which is a very big thing at the moment. I think people are looking for experiences. And how can we create an experience if we don't have the time to actually spend on that? That's some of the things that dynamic pricing can help with. So again, if you don't necessarily utilize some sort of help, I think that you might be facing challenges in considering what is the actual demand that we're seeing in the market. I mentioned already, when we talk about demand, we're not just talking about how many people want to book a certain date in the future. We're talking about events, holidays. We're talking about day of week trends. We're talking about how, of course, the weekend versus the week operates, because there are different markets within markets as well. So for example, I'm just going to give you a very quick example. In the UK, you have contractor markets, you have holiday markets as well. So these are working differently for different days of the week. And that's something that you can see a difference in when we talk about demand, especially for different sizes of properties. You want to stay ahead of competition. You don't necessarily want to, price match with them last minute and panic. You want to see what's happening in the market and adjust accordingly to that. Okay, I'm just going to take a breath very quickly, and I'm going to explain why is actually what we do very similar to the very famous ChatGPT that we didn't stop talking about in the beginning of our call. So for anyone kind of who's not very aware maybe of how the model that ChatGPT uses works or how it's based on, it essentially what it does is it reads a bunch of words. Okay, so whether that's books or newspapers, web resources, it kind of reads a bunch of words, it gathers that information, it learns from it. We do the same thing. So we collect prices, we collect availability, we collect all of that data, and our data sources are Airbnb, VRBO, and Booking.com. So all of this information on a daily basis that we get goes into our algorithm. Now, that's fine. That's a bunch of data that goes into one place. And then obviously something has to happen with that data. So when for ChatGPT, when it analyzes this collected data, it detects different patterns. So we've used an example here that it can detect what a poem is, or it can detect the style of Stephen King. It can also, by the way, write songs or, know if something is a song. It can then help you write songs and so on. So it's basically learning from the style, and it's learning from also, the kind of the emotion that's in it, right? It doesn't think, but it actually learns from these words that it's reading, and it's able to predict in the future what to write or what kind of style something is, and so on. So the same way here, our data that we've collected in our algorithm, we have different models that we work with. So different things that happen in the algorithm, and we can spot what kind of seasonality there is in a certain market, whether it's a weekend or a weekday, whether there's a holiday, different demand patterns. There's a lot of different formulas that happen in the background that allow the algorithm to to do this. And it does this on a hyperlocal level. Okay, so every single micro market has its own trends. But in order to fuel it with your own personal touch, if you want to kind of make it your own, you need to give it some information. So I think what we were talking about earlier, like, hey, this is the email that I want to send out. Can you help me to summarize it, or can I give you this information and can you make it sound like I've written it, or using more of a natural tone and not AI tone? In the same way, we need to receive information at PriceLabs for your listings in order to be able to generate your correct set of data that we want to push through for your listings, right? So once you connect your Hostify to PriceLabs, what happens is that we're also receiving, apart from location and the size of the property, we're also receiving historical booking data like occupancy, how you were booked up in the past and in the future as well. And this is helping us to understand what your historical information was, and it helps us to utilize your listing information with market data, put that all together, and be able to generate the prices for the future. In a nutshell, this is how PriceLabs dynamic pricing works. First, this is just a recap of everything I just said. So the first step is to collect the data from our sources. So we've been doing this for 10 years now, bear in mind. It all goes into the algorithm, and in the algorithm is where, as I said, all of these formulas are happening. So there's a lot of complicated data science stuff. We have an amazing data science team, by the way. So you have block removal, ghost listing identification, deduplication, all of these things are happening in the background. After that, we apply intelligence, right? So this is what I was saying about the hyperlocal pulse, by the way, is the name of our algorithm, our new algorithm. So we apply the recommendations based on your hyperlocal area, with all of these different demand patterns and everything that we discussed just now. Okay, here comes your input. You have a strategy, okay? So you're able to put in your personalized pricing strategy. You don't have to only rely on the algorithm. Yes, the algorithm can optimize your prices. You don't actually need to touch anything once you've set up your listing, but it's very important to set your boundaries in the beginning. What's my base price? What's my minimum price? Do I want to have a maximum price or not? And what are my minimum stay restrictions? Okay, these are the basics that you have to think about. Once that's done, we will automatically push the prices every single day. So we'll utilize all of that information. It will go into the system, generate prices every 24 hours. Listings are obviously getting booked up, and then you are able to also utilize all of that data to report and use different metrics to see how you're doing. This is what the connection looks like. So once you've connected Hostify to PriceLabs, everything starts essentially from the beginning from PriceLabs. PriceLabs will be generating prices and minimum stay restrictions every 24 hours utilizing this market data. So every single day, you're going to see new prices for every day moving forward, depending how far ahead your calendar is open. It will push them through to Hostify, and then Hostify will push them out to all the different OTAs, online travel agencies that you are connected to. But again, this is a topic, I think, a big topic for training sessions for another time. Make sure that your configuration is on point, okay? So utilize help that you have within the system, help to set up your base price, help to read the knowledge base articles to understand how you should set your minimum price in comparison to your base price. Don't set up a minimum stay last minute of 10 nights if your market is expecting 1 or 2 night stays last minute. All of these things could jeopardize you getting booked up. Or getting booked up at the right price. So make sure that your setup in the beginning is right, that you've set your boundaries, and then I'm sure that you will find that, yeah, you'll have a lot of free time to do other things as well. And that's pretty much, pretty much it from me.
Now I can unmute myself. There you go. So that wraps up our main session. And thanks so much for spending part of your day with us here. Big thank you to Anna and to Siana for all of their insights. And just before we open up that Q&A, a little something extra. So if you're new to Price Labs, you can use that code you see, Hostify PL 2025. That'll get you 15% off those first 3 months of your subscription, available through the end of July. And Hostify as well, if you're interested, you can use that code PriceLabsH20 for 20% off your first 2 months of Hostify. So we're going to go ahead and jump on into your questions. I see that we have one here, and Anna, I'll let you hit this one to start off with. So with AI replying 24/7, do guests expect real help outside of business hours? What do you have to say about that?
I think it depends a little bit. So most of the time when you create your listings and you provide the information to the guests, most of the time you provide that the office hours, I don't know, sometimes they start, let's say at 9 a.m. and they finish at 10 p.m. because that's the time that you have someone in the office and that's the normal hours that you work. It is true. And I think most of us, we know that in many cases, you're going to have guests that either they don't read the email, so they arrive there very late at night. And even if you have sent the check-in instructions, or maybe there is something that they are locked out of the apartment or things like that, I would say that in those cases the AI can help maybe to to calm down the guest a little bit. So if it's something like you are locked down of the property, if you have a automated message that the AI can send saying, listen, at this moment, what you can do is just call, I don't know, 911, or you need to call a locksmith, or in these cases, can you please check your spam to see if you have your check-in instructions or things like that? It can maybe calm down a guest. But as I mentioned, normally these things you already have predefined in the listings. So the guest actually needs to know that from 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., if something happened, sometimes they will not have to find the solution by themselves.
And I know, like, it seems, but yes, they probably do expect that you're going to help them 24/7, right? When you're a guest, like, you think you're the most important person in that property manager's world, right? Like, I need this, I need that, I expect that to happen. With AI, I think you can make it easier so that you're responding to that stuff you don't need to respond to automatically. But then when something does happen, like, it frees you up and it's not so draining having to deal with these things constantly, right? So, and I appreciate that. Malik asked us, Siana, let's see how you can answer this one. So how is our solution at Price Labs different from the dynamic pricing that's provided by Hostaway?
I think that, well, there's a lot of dynamic pricing solutions out there, right? It's about what you do with the algorithm. It's about the features that you have within it. It's about the data points that you collect, essentially. So we've been solely doing this for 10 years. We're very confident in our data. I can't comment, unfortunately, if you're looking for kind of specific differences. I think it's just important to see what both platforms offer and what are their sources of data, okay? What I can say with confidence for Price Labs is that the data that we're collecting is objective, if I can say it in that way. It tracks market trends. If there is a short-term rental out there, hotel, we've got the data, we're kind of collecting it, we're tracking it. We've got all of these things in place in the background, like different formulas to remove irrelevant information, to easily track, demand, seasonality, day of week trends. We also combine that with internal, which is what, a lot of kind of inbuilt, I think, dynamic pricing solutions focus also heavily on your internal occupancy or your internal performance. So we combine that, all of that market data with your internal occupancy and your information as well. So it's about understanding what level of revenue management you want to utilize, because there's a lot that comes with Price Labs that could be super beneficial. Not just the generated prices every day, but you have a lot of other aspects as well that you can utilize in terms of the market data there. And seamless as well. You don't really have to put much effort into understanding it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, one of the biggest things that I saw since joining Price Labs is the team, right? Like, we have engineers and teams of engineers dedicated to some of these features. We're constantly trying to evolve and come up with new enhancements. So, some of these tools offer you the basics. Let's set a minimum price and let's see what their algorithm can do. hosts typically want a bit more of that control, right? Like they want to jump in. They know their market better than, what that algorithm. So they want to put in a bit more of those customizations, things along those lines. And that's what I see with Price Labs. It's just we're living and breathing pricing and constantly trying to come up with new ways to enhance, generate more revenue for you, increase your occupancy. So I think that's part of the difference when you're talking about a best in class software versus, an additional add on from, a great competitor out there. Awesome. And so this next one, this is an interesting one, right? I know there's a lot of changes going on all over the world with like tax inclusion when it comes to your listings. There's requirements that are coming. We've been seeing it over here in Portugal for quite some time where everything needs to be spelled out. But no, now we need everything all bundled together in one place. So do we either of you have anything to say, like how would you be able to justify tax inclusion in your pricing and still be competitive when they're looking at others who may not be all inclusive?
To be honest, I'm not really sure how to answer that question.
No worries.
I think it's going to come with regulations and everything. Obviously, you have to think as well, how much are you willing to increase your price to get a little bit of like extra money? But I'm not really, really sure how to answer that question, to be honest.
No worries, no worries. And I think like part of it could be in marketing in your listing itself, right? And making sure that, hey, that part
Yeah.
all inclusive. Don't forget to get to the last screen with that next partner, right? Because when they do get to that last screen, there's going to be a bit of a surprise for them compared to feeling a bit more comfortable with you. So maybe sell that as a part of it, right? Like be proud that everything's included, final price that you're going to see at checkout, and not like the guy next door or things along those lines. I think speaking to it, making sure that guests see that before they get to that next point, like that could be a way to help you, mitigate some of those challenges. Sandy, you got anything?
Just to add, in some markets you have to list the tax separately. I just wanted to note that as well, so it's not part of your price. If the tax is listed separately and the guest can see how much in tax they're paying, we don't take that into consideration. So your net price on PriceLabs is, when you're looking at the competition, it's not including the tax. So if the tax is listed separately, if the cleaning fee is listed separately, all of that, then you're not really incorporating that. Just bear that in mind as well.
Yeah, and really understanding your market, right, and where those guests are coming from, because depending on where they're coming from in the world, when they go to that Airbnb listing, it's going to have a different price point because it's either all inclusive, non-inclusive, separated, listed out, et cetera, et cetera. So, Hostify, is Hostify planning to implement the length of stay option of Price Labs?
So
So,
it's referring to the length of stay pricing.
yeah,
Yes.
specifically, I believe in our integration that we have together.
So actually, I can say yes, we are. We actually developing right now. So we are hoping in a couple of months, at least maybe not release it to everyone, but we have the opportunity to have some clients that they can start testing. So if they want, they're just gonna write their account manager and say, listen, I'm really looking forward to the length of stay pricing. It will be possible to be one of the ones testing, and of course, we can do it for you.
Super exciting. Very excited about that.
Yeah, awesome. So just a few things I see here in the chat. Like we're going to send out an email. You'll make sure that those discount codes will be included to you, Jose. And actually, you know what? I'll just put it and share it while I'm here because I'm right on that screen anyway. Um, and then the other thing, I've also been using Price Labs. I only use dynamic pricing function. I know it can do so much more. Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to our support team, right? Go to support@pricelabs.com. Hey, I'm looking for a little bit of help. Tell them Matthew sent you, Peter. Go ahead, be like, hey, Matthew from the webinar said somebody can have a chat with me. Feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn afterwards. Like we'll make sure that you get taken care of there. And then Peter as well. So I've been using Hostify for 18 months after trying other PMS. It's been going well. I collect security deposits, and Hostify added the option to automate that action after the deposits processed. Very helpful. I'd love for Hostify to integrate an option to return all deposits after the guest checkout. And I'm making note of that. Okay, we'll send that
I
over to
will.
you. And then we have another feature request here. So thanks so much. Is it Lucas? Yeah, we'll make sure to note that and share that with our team here. We're always open. Like, don't hesitate whatsoever if you have any suggestions. You're looking for something different. Our team is constantly looking to evolve and improve. So let us know what you need. We're listening to our customers to make sure when we develop those next features, it's going to help them generate a bit more revenue, increase occupancy at the end of the day, right? There we go, Peter. I appreciate that, brother. So that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you all being part of this conversation. If you found this valuable, make sure to share that recording when it lands in your inbox. And again, if you're missing any of those discount codes, even though they're there, just let us know. We'd be happy to go ahead and add them. Yeah, thanks. Take care, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Anna.